All right, so we go ahead and get it rocking, fellas. Welcome to the Life of a Champ podcast, episode number 24. For today's podcast, we are going to be discussing does what people say does what people say about you actually matter? That is the topic for today. That is the question of the day. So, yeah, we'll go ahead and get it rocking from here. So, to start the podcast, like I said, got the main question: does what people say about you matter? Right? And I want to preface with this. I want to preface with this. Most people and what they say about you doesn't matter at the end of the day. You have to know your own self worth, and you have to know that majority of what someone says about you, anyways, is a reflection of them and the way they perceive you, right? So you gotta take that into account to start off, right? And like I said, and if people have opinions about you, you don't take it to heart. Don't take it to heart because, like I said, it's a reflection of them. And for the most part, you're only going to know yourself. You're gonna know yourself better than anyone. So I would say take it with a grain of salt, especially if it's somebody that doesn't actually matter to your life. Take it with a grain of salt. So with that being said, some people also say things like I don't care what people think of me, which obviously if you're a human being, so that right there is just the ego talking in itself, and it's not actually true. I would not if somebody ever says that I don't care what people think, right? That might be true to some people, but that's not true to everybody. And yeah, like I said, it pretty much is just the ego talking. That's not really what somebody believes. And like I said, we are all human. We definitely care about judgment because we are social creatures, and with being social creatures, we don't want to be the outcast because that would not be good for uh, our interactions with humans. So right there, pretty much. Next thing is ultimately, like I had mentioned earlier, there's going to be a few people on this on in this world where their opinions actually matter, where you should you should actually not only take what they have to say to heart, you actually should take it to heart, and it should also make you think about the way they think about you. So, for example, maybe this will be maybe your close friends, close family, things like that. So, some people's opinions definitely matter. But yeah. So for me personally, I tested this out. I tested this out yesterday. It was a question that I was asking the people in my house as well as asking people who are close to me, like close friends and grandparents and stuff like that. I wanted to ask this question. The question was, if somebody met you and they had a question about me, how would you describe me in 3 words if they wanted to know about me? And most people that I asked, they kind of took a second to really think of some words, and I got the 3 words from about I want to say 8 people, and what I will say about those 8 words is, or the 8 people rather, the words that they said, there's a lot of commonality, there's a lot of truth, and there's a lot of things that even I was slightly uncomfortable with, but I understood exactly where they were coming from. But ultimately, I respected everything everybody said, and for the most part, it was accurate and it was me to an extent. So that was pretty cool, and also it almost kind of gives you like a different type of connection in the moment with that person as well because they're really thinking about, or maybe they're thinking about the good and bad about you, and hopefully they say some good things about you. But I would definitely recommend anyone who's watching this to go ahead and do that themselves, just so you can get a good a good glimpse of what somebody or how somebody perceives you. That'll give you either a wake up call or to give you a pat on the back saying, continue doing you because you're doing whatever you're doing is correct or whatever you're doing is right. So definitely take that into account. And also, with that being said, um, um, these things that you should analyze is give me a second. With that being said, another thing that I want to mention with that is how exactly do you want to be viewed? That's a question that you should ask yourself. How do I want to be viewed? What person do I have to be in order to be viewed the way that I want to be viewed? What actions can I take? And let's just say, for example, right? Let's just say somebody said you are ambitious, right? Let's say that was a word that they used to describe you, but yet you've been falling off and you have not been as ambitious as maybe you once were. Um, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Was good. D was good. Appreciate you for stopping by, my dog. So, going back to what I was saying, right? Let's just say you start to falter from where you once were, right? Now getting these words that people to help to describe you, you can really reflect to see if you are in alignment of what people perceive you as, and if you are, like I had mentioned, if you are in line with that, good for you. Continue to do what you've been doing, right? And like I said, if you're steering away from the path which people perceive you as, then like I said, you need to get back on the horse and continue to do the things in which the ways people perceive you, if it is a positive thing and it is something that you want to hold to your identity. So yeah, that's pretty good right there. And like I said, make sure, like I said, if you deter from that path, make sure you reset and you change, because you want to you want to definitely be viewed as a good person ultimately, or somebody who has good qualities, and you need to be on the persistent grind of trying to maintain that. I won't say not maintain a good perception, but uh, maintain a positive view, or for some people to view you in a positive light. That is definitely key right there. So yeah, just to reiterate, just in case you weren't here, uh, most people most people say things about you. Most people that say things about you really don't matter in the grand scheme of things. Um, which which is something that you should also take into mind. You can't have somebody that you don't know tell you who you are, because they don't know who you are. And I feel like, especially with this type of generation, you see a lot of people getting sensitive to um, people claiming that, oh yeah, you're a certain way. And that is one thing that if anyone were to tell me anything about who I am when they don't know who I am, I'm gonna let you know you don't know what you're talking about. So don't assume based off of a minor thing in my life, right? So if you've never had a conversation with me, you cannot judge my character. You cannot judge my character. I do not give you the permission to judge my character in a way that is in a negative light, because, quite frankly, if you had a problem with what I had to say, or a problem with the opinion that I had, have a conversation with me, because that is the way that we humans interact, and that's the only way I say to go about that situation. So ultimately, if somebody's telling you, let's just say, for example, which I've had people tell me this in the past, right? Let's just say you're working and you have a customer, right? The customer tries to tell you something about yourself, calling you stupid, saying that you don't deserve to be alive, whatever the case may be, right? That person doesn't know you. They're judging you based off of a 0.00001% of what actually is your life. Don't let that person hurt your feelings, because they don't know you. They cannot tell you who you are. And if you let them, think about it this way. If you let that person affect your well-being, they won. And you definitely don't want a stranger to win, especially when they don't know anything about you. That's not okay. And like I said, for me, when somebody tries to tell me that, I look at them like this: you're goofy as hell. You don't even know me. That's exactly what I say, because it's exactly like that. You don't know me. So next time a stranger has to tell you who you are, tell them you don't know me, and it's as simple as that. I've had a few interactions as of recently that have been inconvenient, but I had somebody try to tell me who I am, and I had to quickly tell them, you don't even know who the hell I am. So don't make an assumption based off of a minor a minor part of my entire life. It's ridiculous. So with that being said, like I said, don't take everything to heart. I'm just kind of reiterating some things I said earlier. Don't take everything to heart, because, like I said, most people don't even matter. And honestly, especially if they don't know you and they're judging you in a bad light, that could also say something about them. Maybe they just have a negative perception of life. That could potentially say more about them than it says about you. So just take that into account. All right. Next thing is some people also say, um, hold on, give me a second. Hold up. Some people also say I don't care what people think of me, which also, like I mentioned earlier, is not true. We are human. It's just human nature to care what people think to an extent. Of course, like if it's stranger, then it's not going to really affect you that much. You might care a little bit, but for the most part, it shouldn't affect you. Realistically, shouldn't affect you. Logically speaking, shouldn't affect you. Um, but yeah, that really, when somebody says that, that's really just the ego talking. That's not a realistic point of view, because I'm sure that person has people in their life where um, in their life where that they actually pay attention to what they say. And like I said, if somebody ever says, "I don't care what people think," hit 'em with,
Stop the cap.
that's cap. That's all cap. That's all cap, man. That's it's not an accurate representation of the way that person actually is. Like I said, that's just a perception they want you to have of them, which is incorrect. Like I said, that's not it. Um, but yeah, there should be a few amount of people in which you should actually pay attention and care about what they say about you. These people, like I said, close friends, close family, those people's opinions should actually matter, because if you're not in alignment or if you're not treating them as well, they should tell you, hey, you're not treating me as well as you should. And from there, you got to go ahead and correct it, and that's okay at that point, right? Because at the end of the day, all of us are just trying to be better human beings in this world, and we're just trying to figure our own ways through life. So that'd be a way of helping it, because, like I said, if you have a problem, you gotta have that solution based mindset. All right. And with that being said, I went ahead and asked the opinions of people that I actually care about their opinion. I actually asked their opinion of what they think about me. Like I said, the question that I used was, if somebody were to meet you for the first time and they were curious about me and your life, how would you describe me in 3 words? Right. So I got a lot of different answers. I'll go ahead and give you some of the answers. I'll give you the commonalities about the answers. Give me one second. Let me go ahead and pull it up. All right. All right. So I got. Should I tell you? I'll tell you. I'll tell you. I'll tell you. So, okay. I'll tell you some of it. I'll tell you the commonalities, right? So one thing, a lot of this was my family. They'd mentioned that they view me as good looking, which I appreciated very much. Of course. Um, another thing that was a commonality is I'm opinionated, which if you've watched this podcast, this is Life of a Champ podcast, you should be able to tell that I'm an opinionated person. I take into account a lot of different sources, as well as to come to the conclusion that I come to. Like I said, I need to have plenty of evidence, so I'm definitely opinionated, because I don't just take one person's point of view and say that's my point of view. I take many different points of views. I like to evaluate both sides and come up to my own conclusion myself. Another thing that was common was that I am viewed as a leader, and I'm also what some would deem would be inspiring and competitive. That is within my inner house. That is what they would define me as, which I would say is definitely a pretty accurate description. That's what I would say. My friends. Hold up, I didn't write down my friends. Give me a second. My friends viewed me as let's just say Anthony, right? Anthony viewed me as this. He also didn't say that he was going to correct it, but or he also said that he might correct it, but he didn't. So I'll go ahead and give you his 2 cents on me, right? He says that I'm driven, intuitive, and passionate, and I would definitely agree with all those things that he had mentioned. Driven, definitely. I'm always thinking about the things that I know I should be doing, so that's definitely a good description of me. Passionate, I'm definitely passionate, and hopefully through this podcast you can see the passionate side of me, because most of these things that I actually talk about, I actually give a damn about. So these are things that I'm very, very passionate about if I'm speaking about it. Um, and just some other people. Insightful, inspiring, and persistent. That was the description my grandmother had given me, which maybe one of these days I'll have her on the podcast, but she is one of the most wonderful women that I've ever met in my entire life. And those are definitely some good words to be described by, because, like I said, I have a very, very high opinion of her, and she has a very high opinion of me, thankfully. So, like I said, insightful, inspiring, and persistent. And that's a word that I also want to mention when it comes to you deterring from the path and that you know you should be going down, it's all about persistence. It's like I said, it's all about getting back on the horse and just getting back on the path that you know you should be going on. It's the persistence. Of course, not everything's going to go great, and not everything's going to go bad all the time either. So through the ups and downs, wins and losses, put your head down, stay persistent to what you want to achieve, and eventually you will achieve what you want. So with that being said, just something else somebody also mentioned, or people also mentioned, was give me a second. Hold up. I think I had it right here. Maybe not. Thought I wrote it down. Another thing some people said was eager slash motivated, confident, and ambitious and goal oriented was another one of those common things that they had mentioned as well. Shout out to D the Diamond. Manarchy in the building. Come on now. He said, I'm a natural leader, I'm disciplined, and I'm tunnel visioned, which I would definitely agree as well. Those are all things that I would associate with myself. And with all these things said, for you personally, right? How does this apply to you? What I would personally do if I were you is I would try to get the 3 words from each of the people that you care about, and also, which is something that I'm going to do later this week. I'm going to also write down all the traits. Yeah, no problem, my dog. I'm also going to write down all the traits in which I would want to be associated with. And I want to evaluate my actions to see if they line up. And if they don't line up, then I have some adjustments I need to make. And I feel like everyone should realistically do this. How do you want to be viewed, right? Who are you? Who are you in this life, right? Figure that out. And once you figure that out, or once you figure out who you want to be in this life, like I said, act in accordance with it. It's just as simple as that, right? So figure it out, and like I said, if you don't like some of these things people are telling you, and I hope these people are honest with you, and I hope these people that I asked were honest with me, um, then like I said, you might have some work to do, or you might have some perceptions to uphold, and either or, I would view that as a good thing. But yeah. Um, hmm. Another commonality that I seen out of these things was, with being opinionated, also being headstrong, which my boy Heem, shout out to Heem, he viewed me as that. I'm definitely a person who's not exactly set in my ways, but like I said, I take a lot into account when it comes to the conclusions that I come to or the opinions that I have. So with that being said, can my viewpoint be shifted? I would say yes. Does it take a lot to shift it? I would say yes. Like I said, it can be done. Will it be done? Maybe. Like I said, it can be done. You just have to come with so much evidence, so much um, reasonable, persuasive evidence. But if you can do it, perception can be changed, and I'm open to it, especially within this podcast. Um, like going back to the, give me one second. Going back to the conversation I had with Rudy, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember if it was Rudy and Anthony. I'm pretty sure it was just Rudy. We talked about we talked about the vegan point of view as well. And I said that I'm not closed off to it, but there's certain things that would need to be in place for it to be more convenient for me to do, right? For something that I could potentially do, there's a lot of things that would need to be in place. And I also read a book about habits, right, which is right over here, Atomic Habits, a great book about habits. So I know what it takes to build a good habit. I know what it takes to break a bad habit. With that being said, changing your diet is obviously a huge habit change, and one of the things it would just need to be convenient. And I would say being a vegan is probably not the most convenient thing in this world, because like I said, you have to be more selective on the foods you eat. There's certain things you can't eat, and I'm at a point. I'm at a point in time where I don't have anything I don't eat, or anything I anything. Well, I wouldn't say anything I don't eat, but I'm at a point where I'm not really like I don't go to a place and like strategically look about the things that I can't eat. I obviously I can pretty much eat anything that I want to eat. So that would be, of course, that'd be an adjustment to be made. But like I said, I was not exactly closed off, and I can see myself doing it eventually in the future, maybe if the circumstances are right. So let's say I have a chef, or let's say I have a lovely wife or a girlfriend who's willing to cook me the foods and is also vegan herself or vegetarian herself. I could potentially see myself eating more of those foods, but like I said, it would just need to be a convenient thing for me, right? Um, but yeah, with that being said, of course, my opinion can change, but it would take a little bit of convincing for sure. But going back to what I was mentioning, assholes around you, um, and like I said, also evaluate who you want to be, and evaluate how you want people to perceive that person as well. So for the most part, that's pretty much what I have. Like I said, I appreciate you for stopping by, Menarchy. So if you want to also leave a comment regarding some of the things I'm talking about, I would appreciate it. But yeah. So with that being said, do what people say about you actually matter? Some would say yes, some would say no. I would say it depends. That's what I would say personally. All right, and then I also made some additions to the soundboard, so I'm gonna go ahead and play some of those sound effects. I'm gonna add a bunch more by the next podcast. I'm gonna try to get it done. Communication is key, especially when it comes to viewpoints, for sure. I would definitely agree with that. I would definitely agree with that. And like I said, I feel like in a society where there's a lot of information, communication is lacking. Certain conversations are not being had, and I mentioned that in one of my earlier podcasts. Conversations are not being had, especially when communication is key, especially when it comes to the viewpoints. If you don't have multiple viewpoints, if you are shunning one point of view, then you're ultimately hindering society because who knows? Maybe that could have been the opinion that pushed society forward. Maybe that's the opinion that needs to get out, and you would never know, right? Yeah. So take that into account. Take that into account. All right. Other than that, yeah, I would say that's pretty solid. Yeah. So to go and show you the new sound effect, give me 1 second. Let me pull some up. I edited some of them as well. I got them right here.
Nah, I'm up now.
Sounds fantastic. Sounds fantastic. I also got this one.
How about now? Cause I'm up right now.
I love that song. Love that song. Had to add that one. And I got this one.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
Yeah, these are gonna be when I'm roasting people. When I'm roasting people for the podcast where I have people on, those are gonna be the interesting ones that I definitely looking forward to using. And then give me 1 second. I'm trying to find the other ones. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's is that it? I was supposed to add a few more. I just got caught up with some other stuff. But yeah, those are the ones that I'm going to be I've added, and I actually have a lot more to add. I want to say I have roughly 10 to 15 that I want to add. Um, and like I had mentioned, if you're rewatching this, first I appreciate you watching, and if you have any other sound effects that you would like me to add, go ahead and let me know. Go ahead and leave a comment. Also, leave a comment regarding some things that I had mentioned as well, and then we'll go ahead and get that situated as well. But just reiterating, does what people say matter about, or does what people say about you matter? Like I said, it depends. Um, most people's opinions about you don't matter because, quite frankly, they don't know you. And like I mentioned earlier, if they don't know you, don't let somebody tell you who you are because only realistically you know who you are at the end of the day. And with that being said, if you have a stranger come up to you and try to tell you who you are, you can look them dead in the face like this. No, that's not who I am. That's not who I am. So you can go away because you don't know who I am. So don't tell me who I am. That right there is, and like I said, I had mentioned. Of course, people are sensitive. Of course, people are sensitive, but you cannot care what people think when they don't know. If they're trying to hurt your feelings, the last thing you need to do is let them win. Especially when they're trying to tell you who you are. You know who you are. I hope you know who you are. And if you don't know who you are, you need to start asking yourself the right questions. You need to be a little bit more introspective. And then from there, hopefully you don't get offended as much when somebody tells you who they think you are when in reality they don't know who you are. Okay. All right. And then like I had mentioned earlier, You have the ego talking in people when they say, "I don't care what people think about me." That is, caring what people think is a human reaction. We all want to be accepted. We never want to be the most outcast or the outcast in the group. All of us are just trying to fit in at the end of the day. That is just human behavior at the end of the day, right? That is the social aspect of humans. So that right there, like I said, is just the ego talking. So it's not exactly true. And of course, there should be certain people in which you definitely can that it can apply. Where I don't care what people think about me. Of course, a stranger, you should have that perception on strangers, unless you're doing something like completely terrible in which they have great reasoning. Let's say, like, for example, of course, I would never hope this happens, but like, let's say you do something bad. I don't know, injure an animal or something. That'd be messed up, especially if you're an adult, right? That'd be messed up. You could be doing something else better with your time. But yeah. With that being said, give me 1 second. Hold up. I can't open that right now. Okay. Another thing is, the opinions of only a few people should actually truly matter to you. Like I said, the friends, the family, um, I don't know, maybe your coworkers, maybe your coworkers, maybe your colleagues, whatever. Those people's opinions should matter to you at least a little bit, and hopefully, if it's your close family and close friends, those opinions should matter to you the absolute most. So, getting a clear image on how they perceive you should be something that you occasionally do, just to see if you're just to check up on yourself. Honestly, how are people viewing you? Are you an unhappy person right now? Are you slacking? Getting people's perceptions of you can definitely give you like a refresh button almost, so you can really evaluate the ways you want to be perceived. So, or the ways you are perceived, and then of course you could eventually change viewpoints if you would like. If like I said, if you're not satisfied with the way they think about you, go ahead and change it if you would like. And also, with that being said, uh, evaluate who you want to be. Who do you want to be when you walk out of this house? When you walk out of the house, right? What type of person do you want people to see? Right? Do you want them to see the best version of yourself? Do you want them to see the worst version of yourself? Which type of person? Which type of you do you want people to see? And like I said, act in accordance to the descriptions in which you will want to be described by. Act in accordance to those. And like I said, if somebody gives you the other three words, like I had mentioned, go ahead and ask that question to people around you as well. The question was, if somebody were to meet you for the first time and they didn't know me, or they didn't know me, what would be three words you would use to describe me? They wanted to know about me. Like I said, if you are not, if let's just say somebody says you're this, and it's a good thing, and you feel like at this moment you're not that, get back to it, because at one point you were, because like I said, that person didn't have that perception for no reason. So get back to that, because you definitely don't want to leave somebody having a false perception of you. A lot of people in this life definitely probably have a false perception of you, but through their perception that makes sense. Through yours it might not. But at the end of the day, if it's not something that is what you would like, you have the power to change it, and only you have the power to change it. All right. Another thing, like I said, if you deter from the path, and if you deter from the path, sit down with yourself, take a good look at yourself, and say, I can change that. I can realistically change that. Make sure you reset, and at the end of the day, you're focused. You should be focused on the persistence of just getting better in life, anyways. Like I said, everybody's gonna have their ups and downs, wins and losses, but at the end of the day, these are just chapters in your life story. Shout out to Big Sean. Shout out to Big Sean for that. But yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much it right there. Um, yeah, yeah. Right, give me 1 second. Also, I don't know if y'all noticed the mic. The mic's looking a little different. The mic's looking a little different. That's all I'm gonna say. So I'm gonna mention it because I'll also mention it in another podcast once I have the sports podcast. Rest in peace to the Suns, man. Rest in peace to the Suns, man. What a great run! What a great run! I also mentioned when I have my sports podcast, it'll be one of the most depressing podcasts that I will have in a minute, just because of that reasoning. Uh, it's tragic. We'll be back next year, but sadly, we'll be back next year. It is what it is. At the end of the day, you live and you learn, and unfortunately, not everything can go your way as a sports fan. That is that is the harsh reality right there. But it is what it is. And then, yeah, Suns are just wasted. Wasted. Oh my god. Yeah, I was down terrible for a few days, fellas, but we up now. We up now. Come on now. I got you. I got you right here. It's okay. I was down terrible, but at the end of the day,
Nah, I'm up now.
we all good. We all good. My dog, come on now. But yeah, that right there was a tragedy. But I'll be talking about it on the sports podcast that I will have. It'll either be this Friday or next Wednesday that I want to have it. Because I feel like it'll be definitely something people are looking forward to. If you like basketball, like I said, stay tuned in for that. And if you're in here right now, appreciate you for stopping by. Make sure you leave a comment. And yeah, just to reiterate on the things, which I already did a few times. Like I said, most people don't even know what they're talking about when they're talking about you. You should only care about a few people's opinions, and you should also occasionally ask their opinions on their perception of you, and from there, go ahead and adjust your behavior accordingly. If you were once this and you're no longer that description, change yourself. And if you get a description word from somebody that you care about and that is not who you want to be, go ahead and make the adjustment. And at the end of the day, like I said, you're focused on the persistence. You gotta be persistent with this thing we call life, because it's ever changing. Like I said, ups and downs. But at the end of the day, you're the only one that has to deal with you. So if you want to make your life more enjoyable, you got to be persistent with trying to make it better. It's as simple as that. Not everything's going to go your way, and that is okay. You just got to have acceptance within it and go ahead and move on from there. But yeah. So like I said, if you're in here right now, appreciate you for stopping by. Make sure you leave a comment. I also like this hoodie a lot. I like this hoodie. This is one of my favorite hoodies I have right here. I rarely wear it, but this is definitely one of my favorite ones. It's definitely one thing I also liked. I also really like doing within this little thought experiment that I had set up was not only receiving what people would think about me, but also giving it out. That was one of the most interesting things as well. I got to really what do what you want to do in your life exactly, Bree. That I agree with you 1,000%. Do what you want to do in your life. Like I said, be who you want to be in this life, regardless of what people say. Exactly, regardless of what people say, it doesn't matter what they say, unless they're people you care about. Then it matters what they say. But for the most part, it doesn't matter what people say. But yeah, and like I mentioned, like I was getting into earlier, with also giving these words out, it also gives you a second to really think about the person that um, you are asking for their viewpoint. Giving that out as well. If they're accepting to hear it, it's definitely good to make you think about the good and the bad qualities of that person, and hopefully you can define them in a few words. For me, I definitely liked all the descriptions that I gave everybody, and I would say for the most part they are really really accurate. And I would say all the people that I did mention it, everybody pretty much for the most part liked the description that I gave them. They also said it was pretty accurate description, so that was pretty interesting thought experiment for sure. And yeah, so that's pretty much what that is. Like I said, if you're in here right now, appreciate you for stopping by. Make sure you leave a comment. Oh my gosh, shout out to the songs, man.
Congratulations. you played yourself.
Fucking god damn, man. They played themselves so hard, man. Man, played themselves. Played themselves. But like I said, we'll talk more about it in the sports podcast. We'll do well, I want to have one just before the finals, and yeah, I want to have it just before the finals, and then I want to have one um a little bit or in the finals as well, like the finals predictions, like right before. I want to have it going into where we know who's gonna already be placed in the finals matchup. Which my prediction was I had the Warriors because I don't want the Mavs to go. The Warriors and the Boston Celtics, and I had the Boston Celtics beating the Warriors in. I can't remember what I said in the podcast, but I think it was in like 6 games. I'm also gonna check the score right now. Hold up, give me 1 second. Game one of the Western Conference Finals. Unfortunately, the Suns are not in there. It's okay. I'm only hurt a little bit. Oh, it is not looking good for the Mavericks. What happened, fella? What happened? They're down terrible, and I love it. 92-69. Welcome to the Phoenix Suns world, Mavericks. Welcome to the Phoenix Suns world. Of course, the Suns wouldn't get smacked by the Warriors that bad, in my opinion. Of course, some people might say that's a controversial opinion, but that's my opinion at the end of the day. But it is what it is. Go Warriors. Now I can actually root for Curry and not feel guilty about it. Curry's one of my favorite players, and like I said, I finally get to root for him. Fantastic. But yeah, but yeah. Yeah, I would say, like I said, you have to, if you're watching this, just ask, even if it's 3 people, ask 3 people, 3 of your closest friends, maybe, or 3 of your closest family members, how do they view you? And hopefully they can come up with some quality words to describe you. And like I said, hopefully these words are good words. They're bad words, like I said, you better go ahead and change yourself. There's something wrong. But yeah, that's what I will say. I'm gonna end it off here in a few minutes. So if you're rewatching this, like I said, make sure you leave a like. Go ahead and subscribe as well. And like I said, if you have any other questions or comments regarding any things that I had mentioned, make sure you leave it down in the comments as well. I will hopefully be having my music podcast Saturday. I'm still trying to figure it out. I've done more research, got closer to what I think is the solution to do it. But hopefully I'll be doing those Saturday. But this Friday, um, hopefully I'll also have some people on as well. Uh, but yeah, just depending on who I have on will dictate the conversation points. So I don't have the conversation points exactly. I know I want to do a relationship podcast very, very soon, and I also want to do a conspiracy theory podcast, but I'm still considering on who I should bring on for that. But that is something that should hopefully be on the way. Hopefully within 30 podcasts, shout out to Curry, I will have the conspiracy theory podcast because that is one podcast I really want to do a ton of research on. Um, the days before, I want to do a lot of research so I can give some very, very quality information, very, very quality opinions or perspectives on conspiracy theory because those right there, I feel like those are one of the most interesting things that whether they're true or whether they're not true, those are still very, very interesting in my opinion. So eventually we'll have those, and I'm not I don't know too many people that I can confirm and say with confidence that I know they know about conspiracy theories. Like for me personally, I had a phase. I've had a few phases like this where I've researched things like that heavily, and was always curious about always curious about a few things. So those things always interested me, and to this day, like I said, very very much one of my interests. Something I really need to tap back into, honestly. But when I can have the conversation with people, those are always one of my favorite conversations to have, because I like to see people speak with conviction, because I do the same thing. I speak with conviction. I speak with passion, and to see other people speak about those things just as passionate and about things that are potentially real or unreal. It's just interesting to see. it's interesting to see people speak about something they've done research on. That's always interesting, regardless of what it is. It's just interesting in my opinion. So yeah, yeah. I think this sound right here. This sound my favorite sound.
Nah, I'm up now.
I'm about to start using that. I'm about to start using. I'm gonna use that a lot. And also things that are on the way. I don't know when I'm going to officially do this, but I'm gonna make a TikTok for this channel very very soon. It'll be more of, like I said, the 60 second, and 30 second, 15 second short form entertainment. But those will be good. And with that, I will have the audience expanded a little bit more. So that'll be very very interesting when I do get that up and running. If you know somebody that is into video editing and knows how to do that specifically, and you're rewatching this, make sure you let me know, and I will definitely get into talks with you because that is something that I'm trying to have, where I have multiple people doing this. So not only me doing it, but I also have a few other people doing it, so I can get out as much content as I possibly can. Like I said, I'm about to hit 25 podcasts this week, which is something that I'll go ahead and clap it up for. Give you a second. 25 podcasts. Like I said, most people don't make it to 25 podcasts. Let's be for real here, right? So that is definitely something I'm proud about. So yeah, definitely looking forward to the moves that I make within this podcast. And this week I'll be better at video editing than I ever was. So I'm going to have the video and YouTube video that I've been mentioning for a long time now. The editing on that is going to be way longer than any other video that I ever do. So thank you guys for being patient with me, and I will definitely have that uploaded very very soon. I'm just making a few other edits, and one thing that I will say about that, like I said, I wouldn't exactly call this an excuse, but this is an inconvenience for damn sure. Is I don't have the audio synced to the footage, so it makes it a little bit more difficult. But I did, however, find the fix for that. So the next few videos I will be very quickly out after the first one. So the first one will be one of the most proud projects that I've ever done. One of the most proud pieces of information that I've ever put out. Um, so yeah, that'll be something that I'm looking forward to, and like I said, it'll be a proud moment for me, and a moment that I will definitely have to celebrate after I have all three of the first videos that I have filmed, edited, and posted. That'll be a very proud moment for me because that is the start of this journey. Um, Shout out to Evolve to Inspire. I'm also going to be promoting that channel out very very soon. That is going to be my main project. This right here is also one of my main projects. It's not the main project, but I will definitely always be putting attention into this because this is one of my passions, and I definitely like to interact, have some great conversations. So yeah, I will be always doing this podcast until I have good reason to stop. Just hopped in. Appreciate you, KJ. So I'll go ahead and reiterate a little bit of things that I had mentioned, just to give everybody a refresher. I mentioned a lot of this already in this podcast, but I'm just gonna go ahead and give one more refresher just so people could take the information with them. I'm about to end it off here in a second. So the question I have is, does what people say about you matter? And I would say it depends. Um, there should only be a select few amount of people that actually have an opinion that actually matters in your life. For the most part, you should discard and don't care about majority of people's opinions, especially if it's a stranger. Like I said, if it's a stranger and they're trying to tell you who you are, look at them like this and tell them, you don't know me because you don't know me. So I don't care what you have to say about me. You don't know me. Simple as that. Um, like I said, don't take everything to heart. Um, and if somebody says something negative about you, it also shows a reflection about them. So take that into account as well. And also, you have also have some people saying, "I don't care what people think about me." I feel like that's something that's said and something that I definitely heard in this human experience, and I will say that is definitely the ego talking. That is not true. Of course, to an extent, people do care about what people have to say. Disregard the disregard the rest to be the best. KJ's 2022. A my boy. Yes sir. Yes sir. I like that. I like that. And then, like I said, only a few opinions actually matter in this life. And I want you to ask, like I said, if you're watching this, I want you to ask those people this question right here. If somebody were to meet you for the first time and they were curious about me in your life, how would you describe me in 3 words? So that is something that I did for all the people, or I won't say all, yeah, all most of the people that I actually give a damn about, and I care about their opinions. I asked them. I got a lot of different answers. I got a lot of similar answers. And if you're curious, I mentioned it earlier in the podcast, so you can go back and rewatch it if you would like. But um, from there, that should also give you a wake up call. Maybe it's to continue to do things you know you should be doing, or maybe it's to correct some of the actions and behaviors that you've been doing that led you to an answer that you didn't want to hear. So it's definitely good reflection, and it's also good to also give people what you think about them in 3 words as well. It'll definitely give you a little bit of a bonding moment. So I definitely recommend asking people that question, and from there you should also evaluate who do you want to be. How do you want people to perceive you? That is something that should be on your mind, because, like I said, those select amount of people, those things are going to matter. So, how do you want to act, and then make sure you're acting in accordance to the ways in which you want to be perceived. So, like I said, for me personally, I'm going to write down all the descriptions in which I would like to define myself, and it's definitely good. Like I said, definitely good refresher to see if you act in accordance with those. And like I said, once you deter from that path that you know you should be on, and like let's say people are saying you're ambitious and you're slacking, you can like I said, take a step back, take a deep breath in, and reset and change when you know you need to change. Like I said, in this life, all we're trying to do is be persistent with the things that we know we should be working on. As long as you're persistent, you will definitely get back to where you know you need to be, and you will go on from there. But other than that, I'll leave you with one more piece of advice. The piece of advice for today is what I'd mentioned earlier in the podcast. Don't take everything to heart. There's there's so much slander out there. Uh, disregard disregard the things that don't matter. Pay attention to the things that do matter. And at the end of the day, there's only a few things that matter in this world, so focus on those. So that's how I'm gonna end it off. Appreciate everybody for stopping by. Like I said, if you're rewatching this, make sure you leave a comment. Also, go ahead and subscribe. And from there, I hope you guys have a good rest of your nights. And that was episode number 24 of the Life of a Champ podcast. Shout out to Kobe.